And this question is for Josh and Leah. You know, being someone who has been on the path of like building up your big events like the LA County Fair and the State Fair of Texas, what would you say is one of the key things that you're making sure you're consistently doing in building the relationships with those coordinators to make this like a long-term vision?
The coordinators or the promoters?
Sorry, the promoters, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for me, I'll just go real quick. The state fairs for me, every year I'm on a call or having a meeting, we're getting face-to-face. During the event, I make sure that I take an hour out of one of my days and I just go over to their office early in the morning, pop in, say hi. And the biggest thing is I'm always celebrating them, honoring them, appreciating them, making sure they know like we are having our best year ever and we know it's because of them. Because if you think about it, you gotta, let's say you have a home and garden show that's 3 days long, and by the way, we expand our 3-day home and garden shows too. Tulsa Home and Garden Show is 4 days. It's nothing huge, it's just a big event and we see opportunity with there. But all of those promoters we're having conversations with, we're connecting with, we're getting face to face with them to love on them, appreciate them, and at the same time, make them feel really great while also sharing our long-term vision and talking about where we see ourselves going long-term and inspiring that in them, making sure they're tuned in with that. And then, you know, talking about what's next. What do we see that's next to get us to that long-term vision? And we're always explaining the long-term vision in terms of their interests. Why is this in your interest to align with us on? Right? Hey, listen, we're really excited because every time we add a new booth in a new location, that gives us the opportunity to add a bunch more shifts. It gives us the opportunity to develop new entrepreneurs. And most importantly for you as a fair, every booth, we add an extra 1,000 customers every year that are new, which we then turn around and market to. And we're able to say to our state fair of Texas, for example, hey, we have 65,000 people that we market to as part of our state fair marketing program. And that we know, like we see the results that that's doing. We're driving traffic back to your event. We're selling you tickets. We're keeping people there. We're promoting the state fair. And you guys don't have to spend any money to do that because we're spending that money for you. And we're happy to do that because we're partners in success with you. Right? Helping them understand that and just really shining on them and honoring them and appreciating them can go a really long way, especially when you're tying the dots together. Also, patience pays, right? We make sure that we're really being patient with people and letting them know that, hey, if it takes years, we're here. We're playing the long game here. I don't care if it takes me 10 years to get that booth. I want it. And when it's ready, I want to be the first person you think of because I'm the only one that shows up in your office every year. And instead of dumping on you and telling you all the things that suck and all the things you're doing wrong, I'm the one that's loving on you and appreciating you and making you feel really great about the job that you do. And I know I'm probably one of maybe 2 people that do that every year.
Awesome. So. Cool. Let's hear from Leah as well.
We've been part of the LA County Fair for over 20, 25 years. So we are not the, how do I say this, the drama people for them. So we don't have issues with our promoters. Long time ago, they got in with one booth. When we got the second booth, that's our best booth now in Building 4. My client worked in the commercial sales department. And Sarah called me back then and said, hey, Leah, it goes, there's finally an opening in Building 4, and I'm in charge now. So do you want it? I'm like, yeah, I want it, Sarah. She's like, okay, no problem. You know, and then every year they would call and ask, hey, by the way, do you guys want to be like a sponsor, like spend I'm like, we can't afford $100,000. It comes out of our pockets. She's like, okay, ask Cutco if they'll help you. And I'm like, I'll try. But like, yeah, right. I'm not going to ask Dave Bush, could you help us with $100,000? Like, I know what the answer is going to be. Like, I'm being realistic. Every year after the fair, they do like a wrap-up meeting, and I always get invited to those meetings. One year I did show up. This year, because of traveling to CSP retreat, I couldn't go, but they always contact me about special things, if I can go, and they really value our relationship because we're not the drama clients for them. We pay them way ahead of time. We don't bring up a fuss with them unless something really happens with a vendor next to us that are like bothering customers, but we're not that customer for them, and they love our product, so I don't have to deal with what you have to deal with, fortunately, you know?
Awesome. So I think the keys there are going to be like just visibility, making sure that you're staying like in their radar, and then also just like keeping the drama out of it. That's great stuff. So let's go here.
All right, this is for Nicole and Leah. I'm looking for each of you to give me like the 3 most important reasons why you would defend the way that you choose shifts, because I know that you schedule people and that you guys have a rotation where you pick.
Well, not for the big shows, I set the schedule.
Okay.
For OC and LA Fair. It's not like, hey, what do you want? No, they give me a shift request form. of days they cannot work, and then I decide when they do work.
Okay, so but all your other events, you're doing a shift selection process. So I'd like to know if somebody was kind of attacking your viewpoint, what are the 3 things for each of you that you would point out that this is the reason why it absolutely needs to be that way?
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding the question, you want to know specifically for key events why we decide to staff the way we do, or full program why? Okay, so if
Defend
somebody
your
was
shift
saying
picking.
like, you should not assign shifts, why do we do it? So, one of the reasons is it's just always how we've done it. So one thing that's really nice about how we do things is every year, basically everybody gets a pretty comparable schedule unless they just royally do something terrible that warrants them losing opportunities. But our experience has been that it provides some stability when people know they're working the exact same home show that they've been working for the last 8 years. And we have a lot of people that are in that kind of a position. So it's just, it's easy to do it that way for us. So I don't know if we were starting a program from scratch, if that's how we would do it. I think there's a lot of benefits to the shift picking method, obviously, because a lot of the top teams do that. But for us, it just makes sense. And then I would say specifically talking about the key events, it allows us to really leverage people's individual results to make them really step their game up and take the job seriously. And even for me, my goal is to be #1. I haven't been #1 yet, but I was #2 this year, so I'm moving up the ranks. My freaking husband. But whatever, all goes to the same place. But yeah, so I think it's just us continuing to like push ourselves. It keeps us on our toes too, where we're continually wanting to learn, because we want to make sure that in the eyes of our team, we deserve the opportunities that we're getting as well.
I think you're lucky in the respect that you get to do it the way you want right now, #1. So a lot of it has to do with how it was done in the past. One huge thing that I didn't talk about, but I should have talked about during my message, is the fact that as a coordinator, sometimes you have to do the tough stuff. And as much as I love our team always, breaking records, nothing against Texas State Fair, but you guys bring in a lot of great people into your event. One thing that I've had to sit there and just sacrifice sometimes, like not bringing in the Curtises to work or you to work, is because I have to keep earning the respect and the trust of my people. You have to understand, when you take it away from the local reps that work year-round, and you tell them you get to only do this home show, you can only do these stupid events, the big fairs is that dangling carrot. This is what gets them to keep on moving forward and getting better, because they know that deep down inside, Leah's gonna give me more because I'm gonna work hard. They're not gonna bring XYZ best rep ever to take away from me. So sometimes you have to just like stomach that and like, you gotta sacrifice right now records and that sort of thing for your people. Because once your people like you and trust you, they will never doubt your selection. And I've had to do the hard stuff where they're like, well, Leah, I'm better than so. It's like, do you understand this woman has been around for 20 years in our company? This is her livelihood. You want me to take away all her shifts just because you're better than her right now? Like, it's not, you have to sometimes put like sanity into some of the reps, because ego is huge if you don't snuff it out, so.
All right, so I have to defend our position really quickly here.
You have a 2-minute rebuttal time?
It's okay. Hey, no, it's okay. So, by the way, everything Leah's talking about is absolutely right. I just want to say that, like, we do bring in guests for our state fairs, and the reason we bring in guests is because our team's not big enough to actually staff all of our shifts, because we have over 500 shifts across 3 different events that all overlap each other. So, in that experience, we have to bring in people. The first year we brought in guests, we brought in 9 people. Last year we brought in 2. So every year we've brought in less and less guests, but as we've, 3 if you, Jonathan, and yep, you're right, so 3 people. I'm not really considered a guest, just so you know. So I've always worked in that division. And I would turn you down in a heartbeat. So, yeah. So anyways, I just want to say that, like, I believe shift picking is is important because like giving people, one of the things that people love when you survey reps about what they loved, why they took the job, what they love most about it, it's usually the flexibility is one of the top things they talk about. The flexibility to work when they want, pick their schedule, all that sort of stuff. And so we used to assign shifts. We found that people always struggled with that because we were assigning them to them. And even though they probably would have picked the exact same schedule we gave them because we knew we were assigning well, they still felt like we were robbing them of that flexibility that they love so much. And so for us, we decided to go to a picking order, and then we had to create a process that made it fair based on who you were, where you were in the team, how you were performing and all that. We wanted it to be a performance-based process, not a entitlement process, so that people could earn the privilege to move up and down throughout the ranks. And by doing that, we were giving back people the gift of picking their own schedule, right? And so, and even with our state fairs, my team and I, the TGP team actually pays Vast Action to facilitate the process of setting the schedule for them, but it's still based on our normal ranking system, our normal round robin shift picking system, and everybody submits their preferences to us, and then we list all that stuff out, and we go through and we pick them one at a time, round robin by person, all the way through all the ranks until all the shifts are filled. So, and we have new people that work on our team, we have up-and-comers working on our team, we have veterans that work on our team, and we have all sorts of standards and processes in place to protect the integrity of those people in those positions based on where they're at within the team. So, and it's complicated because it's also, 10 booths over, 46 days and 500 plus shifts. So it has to be complicated to manage it properly.
So just for my 2 cents, I'm always the guy that goes, there's more than one right answer. And the reason LA works so well for them is because they've earned it. Like they've done the hard work and due diligence. Like they've done the work. They've earned the answer they've come to. And the reason ours works for us is because we've earned it. Like we didn't just take a model someone else had. We tried to say, what are best practices? How can we learn from that? How can that inform the decisions we make? But we've earned it. And that's why I love what LA does and I love what we do. For us, honestly, it's as simple as this. And that's why, like I said, we love jousting with LA because it makes us better. It's fun to us. It's not this like negative rivalry. Hell, Izzy works both of them. Like as always, John Israel is the bridge of peace between everything. Okay. I mean, so like, I love it. We are so much better because of the LA County Fair. And I know we make them better either way. But I can tell you part of the decision that some of the things we do works for us is because it's in line with our core values. Inclusion is one of our core values. Most programs wouldn't let a district manager work shifts, that's for sure. And so for us, we just go to the team and we go, hey, here's the standards. We go to the DVMs. If everyone on the team can meet it, great. We don't bring guests. If they can't, we bring guests. For us, it's just an integrity thing on that end. But both are so completely valid. The only thing I just wanted to say on picking shifts versus assigning shifts. I've had experience doing both. You didn't ask me, but I just wanted to throw this in. Whatever decision you come to, both models can definitely lead to sort of an inherent entitlement. And I think as coordinators in the room, that's something we always have to be terribly mindful of. And one of the reasons why personally, just Brian Carter, not speaking even for the whole team, my bias is towards selection versus assignment. This is just my own opinion, is because we've had times where people are like, hey, I've worked that show. It's my show. And what happens is sometimes those people aren't keeping up with the rest of the team. They're not doing the work to continue refining their skills. They're not staying current. Their averages aren't there. I'm not going to punish them for that, but I'm also not afraid. I don't feel the need to shield them from the consequences of their own inaction. So I don't want to limit their opportunity, but I do want to challenge them to make sure that they're still continuing their own path of growth, that they're doing the right disciplines the rest of the team is doing. So it's not meant to be cutthroat. We want to protect everyone's opportunity. And trust me, my message to managers is always, you better freaking protect the opportunity of your CSPs. Like that is always my message. Don't mess with policies. If you want to be involved in setting them, great. Step up to the table. Don't mess with policies once they're set. I'm all about protecting y'all's opportunities. But whatever version you come with, go through that strategic planning thought process of saying, what is the downside to the version we've picked? Whichever you come to, there's going to be some ups and downs. Just make sure you think it out, and whatever you come up with is in line with your core values and your influencers are aligned. And we love the LA County Fair. We really do, by the way. We have learned so much from y'all. Thank you guys for what you bring to the community, and thank you for sharing so openly.
Yeah, so I think the main themes that I was just recognizing through that, just kind of highlight, like just making sure that you are like protecting the integrity of your organization, protecting the opportunity for those people that have earned it, and making sure that you build that trust with your team while still squashing that entitlement, not letting it go too far, like the pendulum swinging the other way. And then also just don't don't change something just to change something. Really actually go through, like, you know, Nicole said, it's like, this is the way that we've done it. And so it's like, why are we going to change this without a real solid reason to? So that's awesome. We'll go to Dante.
Cool, thanks. Just as a quick thing, I assume at all y'all's major events, you guys have mandated, required postcard marketing or like a letter or something like that that goes out, like direct mail, right? Okay. So for you guys that do, I actually have a quick question. There's like 3 objections that I got pretty quickly and very commonly, even before I was coordinator on the team. And so we don't have required like direct mail marketing and at our major key events. And that's something that I've felt for a while that we need to change. We basically just do an email, but it's not really like a sanctioned, like required deal. Anyways, I want to be able to go back to our team and understand, to have the ammo on how to handle these objections that I know I'm going to get when I have this conversation again with these people. The first one is the most common one I normally get is that for these key events, they're like $300 to $500 per day, you know, typically for a shift. And the most common one I get right off the bat is like, Dante, like, you remember me to spend like this much on direct mail? Like, it's already super expensive for the shifts. So I have 3 of them. That's the first one. If anyone can answer that one first, or if I can answer all 3 of them, then. Okay, so the first one is, it's already really expensive for these shifts, Dante. That just seems, that's like an added expense to already expensive show. Number 2 that I get usually after that is like, man, like, sounds cool, but to be honest with you, I really just want to focus on all the new customers because it's such a busy show and we're always back to back to back afterwards. I'd really just rather spend time with new customers versus just paying to funnel my customers to me versus I can just do a service event for them afterwards or something. The third one that I get after that is, okay, Dante, I'll do it, but I do want to let you know I'm not excited about being made to do this.
Yeah, so
The last answer should be thank you.
yeah.
Question 3, check. All
Yeah.
right. Let's go with 1 and 2.
The first one, we have it every year. The new people on our team always like question it. It's really great if you had some stats to show them how much you sold from the marketing. Like, yeah, it maybe cost you $1,000 to send postcards, but last year, because we sent postcards, we sold an extra 30 grand. So you just got to show them, like, no matter what you spend, that it's always going to be a return on your investment. And like, it's never been for me, like over the time I've ever marketed, like that I've lost money on postcards. It's always been a big profit. So if you could get some stats, even if you don't have them, use other team stats, like how much we sell just from the past customer marketing and postcards. I think that would help a lot. The second one was, what was the second question?
It was the, why am I trying to just funnel my new
that
customers
is crazy.
my past
That
customers
is
in?
like, be like, you're stupid. Like that's
yeah.
and so I mean, okay, biggest thing is like, I mean, you know this, like our own past customers are our best salespeople. Like we want as many of them at the booth as possible. They will sell sets for us. You know, we want them there. We want them to fill out the testimonials. We want them to stand there and tell every single new person how great the knives are and how long they've had them for. So yeah, that's just the craziest thing. And they can also be your biggest orders. Like that's a silly thing too. I mean, we're gonna sell to new customers, we're gonna sell to past customers. Past customers, it's gonna be a faster sale because they already know the price but then they don't know the new programs, the kitchens, the family program, like new customers, like I know that's a big focus because typically the average is a little higher with new customers. But man, I would like when a past customer comes up, I'm just like, all right, I get a little break real quick. I'll step back, get some water, have a snack, and then next thing I know, they're like, all right, how much is this stuff? Like they get really excited. So just sell them on the benefit of having your gold clients there.
Hang on, one real quick thing, and they'll give the real answer. I'm kind of a dick, and everyone knows that. So I'm just going to be honest with you.
What?
If someone on your
No.
team wants to joust with you, if they're just, because that's a little bit what that is. Some of that's posturing. Our top 5 events, we require print marketing. If they don't want to do it, just don't work them. Like, that's fine. We have other people. It's no skin off my back. But I've had that come up one time in the last calendar year, and I literally told the guy, I said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize we were that swamped. Holy cow. Well, I tell you what, we're still going to require print marketing because 20%, 25% of our sales is State Fair of Texas last year were past customer. We'd be crazy to leave that on the table. But since you're so overwhelmed, the days you work, I'm going to add more staffing. So we'll put a few extra people in the booth to keep up with the demand. Sounds like you're working crazy days. So that's awesome. Now you'll have time for new customers, past customers. We'll just put more people in there. And they immediately backed down because it was posturing.
That's great.
Go ahead, Dante. It's your best people.
It's not your new people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So, okay. So first off, coordinators in the room, all of you, right? You have to get really good at recognizing scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking, and you have to get really talented and confident and comfortable with challenging scarcity thinking, and asking the questions that switch people's mindset. Tony Robbins calls it like interrupting their pattern, but switch people's mindset into abundance thinking, right? So business owners don't think in terms of scarcity unless they want to go out of business, right? And they will long term if that's where they stay. So when people are in expense thinking, I want to interrupt their pattern and get them into investment thinking. And data is the best way to do that. However, asking a really great question is, I usually ask, like, hey, if instead of viewing this as an expense, which at running a marketing consulting company, we have to do this on a daily basis multiple times a day, we're always having conversations with people where it's like, hey, instead of looking at it as an expense, what if we looked at it as an investment, right? So you're going to spend $500 on postcards. What's your average order? $500. Okay, cool. So how many orders do you need to get to offset that cost? So if we send 1,000 postcards out, do you think your customers like you enough and are loyal to you enough because you've been serving them enough over the years that 2 of them will show up? And if, or enough of them will show up that you'll be able to close 2 orders. How many customers would you need to see at the booth in order to get the 2 orders that you need to offset the expense and turn it into an investment? Because $1 of profit is still profit, and I want it, right? Even if it's only $1. So, challenging, especially your best people, to think that way is like our duty as coordinators to serve them at a high level. Because keep in mind that if you believe your policy has their best interests in mind, all you have to do is train them to think that way and consistently remind them that you have their best interests in mind. Hey, we're not requiring this of you because we just want you to spend more money. We're requiring this of you because we know it's in your best interest to do it. You will sell more. You will earn more loyalty from your clients. You will sell more to new customers. And the whole past customer thing, I agree with Alicia. They're our best customers. We want them around the booth even if we never talk to them. There are some days where I'm so busy at the booth, I can't talk to my past customers because I'm it's new customer after new customer, and they were the first ones there, so they're who I'm taking care of. But I love having my past customers there because, boy, instead of taking 15 minutes to sell that, signature or ultimate, it only takes me 5. Because, oh, Leah, hey, how long have we been working together? Oh my gosh, fill out your drawing slip. Yeah. What's the drawing slip? Oh, that's something I do just for my preferred customers. Every year they come by, they get their name in a drawing. I give away some free stuff. How do I get in the drawing? Well, you buy your set. So, Leah, by the way, how long have you had your set? How do you like it? Would you recommend it? Yeah, awesome. She's looking at this set. By the way, Leah started with this set too, and then over a couple years, she upgraded that set. Oh, and now she has the flatware, and last year she came and got the cookware and completed her kitchen. And to be able to paint that for your client, it just plants so many seeds, and it creates such an experience for that brand new client that they're like, all right, here's my card,
I just want to add something. Do you guys do ROR in your division? So a nice benefit too, what we do if we're doing direct mailing, that will lower the percent we pay out. So instead of a normal 15% payout, if you do the postcards, which everyone's required to anyway, but if we pay 10% instead because we just invested, $500,000. So a lot of people are like, oh, I got to do it. I want to pay out lower amount for ROR. So it's a nice little thing to add. Nice.
Yeah, like Brian talked about, you have to create competition. So obviously this rep feels, because they've been around a long time, they get this show to themselves, I'm assuming, at one time? In 4 and 4, okay. So what you do is you bring in a 5th swing, and then you'll see what happens. The reps, the reason with the LA County Fair is successful is because we'd have at times a swing 5th person, and they're like, I need to get to my CPO average per hour. So guess what? They want to do marketing, because they're like, how am I gonna get my numbers up there to compete with other people? Another thing is, do you guys do an ROR program? Okay, so a requirement for us is if you want to have the benefits of the ROR program, you got to send out postcards. It's not fair for your customers that you didn't spend any money, that I'm writing up orders for you all day, and yes, I get paid out on them, but you didn't even bother to spend that extra $2,000. So guess what? You're not on the ROR list. Plain and simple. You get no ROR if you don't want to spend the money in marketing. It's not fair to everybody else.
And the other thing I'll add is that if everybody else is doing it with the exception of 2 or 3 people, what's happening is now Leah, who wants to focus on new customers, is now in an unfair advantage because I'm spending the extra money. And what you're saying is that you only want to work with new customers. So now, how do I know, like, if one of my customers shows up at the booth that I spent marketing on, you're actually going to do your job and take care of them like you're supposed to? I'm going to take care of your customers if you market to your customers. But if you're basically saying, like, hey, I don't want to market to my customers. I don't like being required to do that because I don't want my customers there. I just want to focus on new customers. Well, what happens when Dante's customer shows up? Are they just going to blow them off because they're Dante's customer? Yeah. So, like, and they will, because that's their philosophy. So you have to challenge that philosophy. You have to challenge their thinking. You have to get them into the abundance mindset. And yeah, I mean, that's our thing in TGP. Hey, you don't have to market if you don't want to, but you don't get any ROR protection. So if your customer shows up and somebody else sells to them, that's their order, not yours, because you didn't market to your clients. So that's the fastest, easiest way to snap them into shape, right? And just make it a requirement.
Awesome.
So I don't care what your objection is. It's just the way our team set the policy.
Cool. So
Hey, I know it's lunchtime, but I'm still
for it.
doing this.
All right.
If there is no line that people on your team can't cross, then nothing you have is a negotiation anymore. It's a hostage situation. So I'm just going to tell you, there honestly has to come to a point of, and I'm not saying that's what Dante is presenting at all, but if you do not have standards that there are red lines people cannot cross, that's not a red line. But there are some people in programs that push just to push. And sometimes the best answer to them is just to push back. I don't need to justify this decision to you because I don't think this is coming from an honest place. And so if you don't want to be part of this event, don't. And if you're not willing to draw that line with your top people here and there, it's amazing once you do that once or twice how the team starts to operate in a more congruent way.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, it's just those tough conversations and kind of like playing the dad or mom role where it's like, this is good for you, and I'm going to explain why it's good for you, and you're going to do it anyway. But yeah, and then just having those standards that you come into, and honestly, like, it can be really easy to paint the vision for why marketing is great. I mean, like, one of the cool things that I experienced at the State Fair of Texas was, like, a lady came up to the booth, her and her husband, and she was like, Cutco Steve-O, oh my gosh, you're here. We brought our wish list because your postcard said, like, bring a wish list and you get, like, an extra bonus. And she handed me her, like, she dug through her purse for, like, a good 3 minutes to find this wish list. And she finally found it, she handed it to me. It was a piece of paper printed from Cutco.com, and it just said, Ultimate with steak knives. And it's like, this is the... No. That one we just added on a few, like, lockbacks engraved for gifts. But, yeah, no, it was just like, it's a no-brainer to market to your customers. Like, I can't tell you how many, like, phone orders I've had for, like, big things just because people are like, we live out in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, so we're not going to come to the fair again, but, like, we do want to get 3 galley sets for all of our kids for Christmas. So, exactly. Awesome. Cool. Let's give these guys another round of applause, and we are going to break for lunch. We made it.